Hello everyone. So this is the second lecture on the topic heat and thermodynamics. So we have seen what is heat, right? In the previous lecture, heat is a form of energy. Now we denote heat, or we will denote heat with dq in this particular section, or in the thermodynamics section. Okay, or you will see that in the first law of thermodynamics. So heat is a form of energy, as you know. Now the conventions and all, we'll see it ahead. Okay, so after heat will come across work. Okay, so work will denote with W as total amount of work. Okay, so the total amount of work W is equal to integral of all those small work done, dW. And in thermodynamics, we write down the relation for work done as PdV, integral of PdV. Okay, so when the volume changes from V1 to V2. All right, so you apply a pressure in a cylinder, all right, on the piston of a cylinder, and due to that pressure the volume changes from V1 to V2. You say that some work has been done here. So under that situation, we can write down the relation for work done as integral of dW, and that is equal to integral of PdV, where the limit goes from V1 to V2. Okay, then we have internal energy. We denote internal energy with U. Okay, so U equal to UK plus UT, that is internal kinetic energy and internal potential energy. So internal kinetic energy is internal energy due to molecular motion. Internal potential energy is internal energy due to molecular configuration. All right, so in case of ideal gas, what happens? In case of ideal gas, intermolecular potential energy is 0, as there is no intermolecular interaction. Therefore UP is 0, and therefore you can write down U equal to UK. Now UK is 3/2. What is the relation for UK? UK is 3/2 nRT. Okay, which you get in the chapter kinetic theory of gases. So here 3/2 nR is a constant, like R is universal gas constant, right? So 3/2 nR is constant, where n is the number of moles. That means you can write down U is proportional to T. Therefore internal energy depends on temperature. All right. Now in a cyclic process, internal energy initial internal energy is equal to final internal energy, and therefore change in internal energy, that is du, becomes 0. Okay, so what is the cyclic process? Any process that returns to the original state, that you call a cyclic process. So after knowing internal energy, work and heat, we'll employ this in first law of thermodynamics. But before that, let's see what is thermal equilibrium. So thermal equilibrium, you say that two bodies are in thermal equilibrium when temperature of the first body is equal to temperature of the second body. Okay, so you call that to be the condition of thermal equilibrium. So based on that, we have the zeroth law of thermodynamics. So what does the zeroth law say? What does zeroth law say? Now you have three containers, say A, B and C. So container A is in thermal equilibrium, or system, say there are three systems, A, B and C. So system A is in thermal equilibrium with C, and system B is in thermal equilibrium with C separately. Okay, so by zeroth law you can say that system A and B are also in thermal equilibrium. So it is pretty simple, no complications. So after this, we have the first law of thermodynamics. First law. So according to first law of thermodynamics, the total heat that you supply to a system is used to increase internal energy and also to deliver work. Okay, so a part of the total heat is used to increase internal energy of the system, and remaining part is used to deliver work. So from here you get du equals to dq minus dw. Now we'll have, after seeing the sign conventions, we'll see the applications of the first law in various processes. So sign conventions, these are very important while solving numericals. Now, heat added to any system. When you add heat to a system in physics, we consider dq as positive. When you reject heat from a system, heat rejected, you consider dq to be negative. When work is done by the system, work done by system, under that situation you consider work done to be positive. If work is done on system, then you consider work done to be negative. Okay. Now in a PV cycle, work done is area of the cycle. Now if the cycle is clockwise, okay, if the cycle is clockwise, say this is clockwise, right, then work done is positive. You'll consider the work done to be positive, PV cycle. If the work done is anti-clockwise, okay, this is anti-clockwise, you'll consider work done to be negative. So these are the sign conventions which you'll remember. After that we have something as path function and point function. So path function are those like physical quantities which depend on the path taken, like heat and work. They depend on the path taken, right? They do not depend on the states, final and initial states. Whereas you have point or state function, these are path independent functions. Point or state function, you have temperature, you have internal energy. Okay, they are state functions. Now we come to application of first law. Basically we'll see the equation of the first law of thermodynamics in the various processes. Number one, isobaric process. In isobaric process, pressure remains constant, right? So the work done relation is integral P dV V1 to V2, and this becomes P V2 minus V1. Therefore, your first law of thermodynamics, that is heat will be supplied at constant pressure. This will be equal to du plus dw, and this is equal to n Cp dt. Okay, so this is your equation of first law of thermodynamics in case of isobaric process. Number two, cyclic process. In cyclic process, your du is 0, change in internal energy is 0, and therefore the equation of the thermodynamics, first law of thermodynamics, takes the form dq equal to dw. Now here this will be equal to area of the cycle. Alright, so number 3, isothermal process. In isothermal process, T is constant. As you know that U is proportional to T, therefore U will also be constant, and therefore du will be 0. So here also dq is equal to du, okay, sorry, dq is equal to dw, and work done relation in isothermal process is integral P dV V1 to V2. Now after derivation you will get this as W equal to, because temperature is constant, so pressure and volume varies here. Okay, since T is constant, PV, pressure and volume varies, or you can say they vary as P inversely proportional V. Okay, so one of the work done relation is nRT natural log V2 by V1. Okay, and this can also be written as nRT natural log P1 by P2, because I'll put this in a different ink. Okay, so if P is inversely proportional V, then P1 V1 equal to P2 V2, and V2 by V1 equal to P1 by P2. Now in common log, you write down these relations as 2.303 nRT log base 10 V2 by V1. Okay, and the other one 2.303 nRT log base 10 P1 by P2. Okay, so these are the relations for work done, and also the first law of thermodynamics, equation for first law of thermodynamics in isothermal process. Next you have isochoric process. Number 4, isochoric process. In isochoric process, volume do not change, right? So dV is equal to 0, volume is constant, so dV is 0, therefore work done, there is no work done, dW is 0. So in isochoric process, first law of thermodynamics takes the form dQ equals to du. Now since heat is supplied at constant volume here, so we can write down dQ equal to du equal to N CV dt. Okay, and like CV is what? Specific heat at constant volume. Next we have adiabatic process. So in adiabatic process, Q is constant, no heat enters or leaves the system, therefore dQ is 0, and the first law takes the form du equals to minus dW. So during gas expansion, what happens? You see, during gas expansion, your work done is, like, work is done by the system, right? So work done is positive, therefore du becomes minus plus dW, so it is minus dW, right? Therefore du is negative, yes, therefore internal energy, change in internal energy is negative, means internal energy is decreasing, therefore temperature will also decrease. So you can write down initial internal energy is greater than final internal energy, and initial temperature is greater than final temperature. So the system cools down actually. Okay, gas cools. I can put a box here. So likewise, I'm not showing the calculation, or I can show it. It won't be that big. During gas compression, work done is negative. So if work done is negative, then du becomes minus dW, which is plus dW. Now this is du equals to positive. So internal energy increases, temperature also increases. Okay, so Ui less than Uf, Ti less than Tf. So the gas heats. So this is the case of gas compression. This needs to be remembered. Now the work done relation for adiabatic process, P1 V1 minus P2 V2 divided by gamma minus 1. This can be written as Nr by gamma minus 1 T1 minus T2. Now for gas expansion, during gas expansion, as we know, the gas cools, right? So T1 is greater than T2. A work done relation becomes Nr by gamma minus 1 T1 minus T2. No problem with that. But during gas compression, T1 is less than T2, so W becomes Nr by gamma minus 1. That will be T1 minus T2 result will be negative, right? Therefore we can write down T2 minus T1. This is the work done relation for gas compression. Okay, now we'll see the graphs very quickly. All right, and we did not talk about the process also, the thermodynamic processes. Thermodynamic processes. Okay, now number one is isothermal process. So here temperature stays constant, right? Now isothermal process is a very slow process, and here these are the preconditions. Okay, the walls of the cylinders are perfectly conducting walls. Now since T is constant, P is inversely proportional V, so the PV graph becomes like this, the PT graph becomes like this, and VT graph becomes like this. Temperature is constant. Next is adiabatic, number 2. So the preconditions are, well, here I should write down PV equal to constant. Okay, now in adiabatic process the preconditions are sudden process, okay, and the walls of the cylinder will be perfectly non-conducting. Previously it was perfectly conducting, now perfectly non-conducting. The equations of adiabatic process, okay, the equations are PV to the power gamma equal to constant, TV to the power gamma minus 1 equal to constant, and P to the power 1 minus gamma, T to the power gamma equal to constant. Now we already know that gamma value is greater than 1 and gamma is Cp by Cv, right? So the pressure volume graph is similar to isothermal, only the difference will be that when you put them back to back, the slope of the adiabatic curve will be more in comparison to the isothermal curve. Next we go to isochoric process. So isothermal, adiabatic, then we have number 3, right? Isobaric. Here P is constant, so the PV graph will be like this, PT graph will be like this, pressure is constant, yes, and VT graph will be like this. Next, number 4, isochoric. V constant, yes. So here your PV graph is this way, PV graph volume constant, mind it. PD graph is this way, and VT graph is like this. Lastly we have the cyclic process. The graph is a closed cycle, right? The graph is a closed cycle. The direction will tell you whether the work done should be positive or negative. Okay, so after this what we have, all right, so let's talk about second law. Well, before that let's see what is a heat engine. So in a heat engine you have a hot reservoir, okay, a hot reservoir which you call as source, okay, or I'll just show you in brief. This is the source which will be at temperature T1, this is the working substance, and this is the sink which is at temperature T2. Now in a heat engine, Q1 heat will be taken from the source, some amount of heat will be rejected to the sink, and the difference Q1 minus Q2 will be converted as work done. So efficiency formula. So efficiency is what? Efficiency is denoted by eta, right? So that is output by input. So output is work and input is heat taken from the source, that is W by Q1. So Q1 minus Q2 divided by Q1, the relation is 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Now from Carnot's engine, from the relation of efficiency, you can also show that like eta is equal to 1 minus T2 by T1. We are writing the relation here only. Okay, so here T2 is the sink temperature, T1 is the source temperature. Now we come to second law of thermodynamics. Second law. So you have two statements for second law. The Kelvin-Planck statement says that, so Kelvin-Planck statement says that you cannot construct an engine whose sole purpose is to take heat from the source and completely converting it into work. Okay, completely converting it into work. What it says basically is that you cannot construct an engine where Q2 will be 0. Okay, Q2 0 is not possible. Q2 has to be not equal to 0. Okay, you cannot develop an engine where you take some heat from the source and you convert 100% of this heat into work done. That means you do not reject any heat to the sink. So it says that you cannot construct that kind of engine. So that is what your Kelvin-Planck statement says. Okay, you can see the statement in the PDF that I'll share after this or along with this lecture. Okay, so next is Clausius statement. So Clausius statement says that heat cannot flow by itself from a cold body to a hot body. So again, as just like before, T1 is greater than T2. So heat cannot flow by itself from a cold body to a hot body. That means you have to do some external work on the working substance to drive heat from a cold body to a hot body. Okay, so that is your Clausius statement. So you have refrigerator, right? So in a refrigerator, heat is driven from cold body to hot body. So in case of a refrigerator, you actually measure coefficient of performance. Okay, which you can denote that with beta. So that is Q2. You are taking heat from the sink or from the body at lower temperature, which is Q2. This is Q2 is divided by work done. So Q2 divided by Q1 minus Q2 is the relation for coefficient of performance. This can also be written as T2 by T1 minus T2. So this is the relation for coefficient of performance. Next we have entropy. So what is entropy? Entropy is degree of disorderness in a system. Okay, the measure of disorderness. Now entropy is measured as, you denote that with S. So that is equal to delta Q, heat absorbed, divided by absolute temperature. That is, temperature has to be in Kelvin scale. Okay, so this is the relation for entropy. Now when you bring a hot body in contact with a cold body, what happens? For the hot body, entropy is lost. Okay, so there is a negative change in entropy. All right, so when a hot body, if I write down that when a hot body is brought in contact with a cold body, then for the hot body, change in entropy, okay, that will be negative change in entropy will be delta S1 equal to delta Q divided by T1. T1 is the temperature of the hot body, and the cold body is gaining heat, therefore positive change in entropy will happen for the cold body. So for the cold body, positive change in entropy, delta S2 equal to delta Q divided by T2. Okay, so net change in entropy, delta S will be delta S1 plus delta S2. Okay, so that is your entropy relation. Do we have anything else? Well, Carnot engine, so Carnot engine next. So Carnot engine is an ideal heat engine. Okay, so now it consists of a source of infinite thermal capacity and a sink of infinite thermal capacity. So Carnot engine operates between two temperatures, source temperature T1 and sink temperature T2. So we'll need the efficiency relation. Efficiency of a Carnot engine is given by W by Q1, which is 1 minus Q2 by Q1, which is 1 minus T2 by T1. Now this can be shown with derivation. Okay, so next we have heat transfer. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll include heat transfer in a third lecture. Okay, that will be again a very brief lecture. I'm closing here. The second lecture ends here. Thank you.